Hello everyone, NIO here. This is going to be a very short video, but it's probably one of the more important videos you have to watch because I just finished reading the so-called lawsuit against NIO by GIC, and I think I'm a uniquely qualified person to comment on this. Okay, some backgrounds. First of all, I used to be shareholder in Crown Resorts in Australia, and I won successfully a lawsuit against Crown in a class action, and I received payment from the company as well. So I know what it takes to be a successful shareholder in suing a company that mislead the shareholders. So I know what I'm talking about. That's the first thing. Second, I used to live in Singapore for 10 years, and the practice of GIC is extremely familiar to me. I'm probably the most qualified person to comment about this outside of the companies and investment firms involved in this lawsuit. And they probably can't say anything about it because if you have filed a lawsuit, the first thing the lawyer will tell you is to shut up. You are not going to say anything whatsoever. So the company wouldn't be able to comment on it, and GIC wouldn't be able to comment on it either. And therefore, this thing will be full of speculations, and the bears is going to use this opportunity to raid the bull camp and particularly slaughter some pigs. Okay, here is, let me try to simplify this entire situation for you as much as possible so that anybody can understand me. The fact is very simple. One of the early shareholders, early investors in NIO 5 years ago, who invested money in the company, decided now to sue the company for misleading it for investing the money because it lost money afterward. This is the simplest way to explain that. And to my best knowledge, this lawsuit will not be able to succeed. And the reason is very simple. It is incredibly difficult for the lawyers to establish the direct link between the revenue recognition scheme of the battery rental business, directly linking it to share performance. It is incredibly difficult because, first of all, accounting issues come up all the time in publicly listed companies because there are certain ways to recognize revenues for different kind of accounting methods, and many times, very, very often, even the auditors and accountants themselves cannot agree upon what is the best method. And sometimes they use aggressive accounting to recognize revenue earlier than it should be. But the most important part is do not fake revenues. So faking revenue versus accounting recognition are completely different ball games. It's a bit like saying, imagine someone asks you how much do you earn this year, and you say I earn $100,000 a year, and the year is not finished. How do you know you're going to earn $100,000 a year, right? But you can say something like, based on my past salary, based on my performance, I'm very unlikely I'm getting fired. Therefore, I can confidently say I'm earn $100,000 a year based on my past income of the last 5 years. That's the example. But if someone make investment decision or make reliable loan issue to you based on your self-declared income, and if later on they don't like the fact you might not be able to pay back, then they will sue you for false declaration of your income. This is the closest comparison I can give you. Not sure if this is understandable. Basically, there are different ways to recognize the same thing in legal terms for revenues. And they are using this as excuse right now to basically bring in negative news about a company that's currently growing like crazy. And don't forget, the battery recognition for rental battery is a small component of overall revenue for NIO. It's not that big whatsoever. Be able to recognize the direct link between the share price skyrocketing to the later fall, linking these two together to the battery swapping revenue recognition with a third party, it is extremely difficult to prove. And that's the reason, even though there has been a class action since some time about the same thing, since 3 years plus, NIO has not needed to truly go to court and go through the process of arbitration or negotiation, or the entire lawsuit goes through this process. And usually this kind of things normally get settled. Means the parties negotiate with each other, and then they're going to come to terms and decide that we don't continue because the lawyers get rich, nobody else get rich, and then there will be a settlement usually, and it's usually not that big, particularly because the amount of money that we're talking about here that GIC has invested in the company is not that big at all, not even $100 million. So you need to understand GIC is gigantic. $100 million for GIC is basically a chump change, pocket change. Okay, so I think if the best case scenario is they're going to get a settlement, and the lawsuit is basically their way to threaten escalation. However, it is very unlikely they're going to win anything, and therefore I'm not too worried about the company's situation in the long term. However, in the short term, for the uninformed people, they're going to panic sell. And of course, NIO 100 people will not be panicking because you are under the best possible guidance by one of the most experienced investors you probably get to know on the internet. Yes, I'm that confident about myself, despite the fact that all I own is just a backpack right now. But this backpack has something. Okay, there's enough in the backpack. So all I can say is if NIO 100 is successful, I will have more than the money that GIC has invested in the company. Yeah, simple as that. So to summarize my opinion, I think personally this is orchestrated by hedge funds that's associated with GIC to aggressively bring the share price of NIO down so that they can cover their own shorts in one way or another. I actually suspect the timing is not random. I suspect one of the entity of GIC is probably, this is all speculation, okay? GIC, don't sue me. Even you sue me, it's not gonna, no point. Right now, I have no asset for you to sue. Personal assets, practically zero. You cannot sue me for anything I own because I don't own anything. Okay, so GIC, just be aware. You can sue me, but you're not gonna get anything out of me. Good luck with that. So my speculation is that GIC most likely has an entity that has short positions, large short positions established in NIO, and they are currently bleeding money like crazy. And they are looking at a catastrophic event. And therefore, they are bringing out an old lawsuit that they should have filed a long time ago, try to bring it down the share price so that the other entity that's associated with GIC can cover its short position. This is my best reading out of it. Of course, I can't prove anything, but just like Sherlock Holmes says, if you basically, let me paraphrase Sherlock Holmes, if you eliminate all other possibilities, even the most unlikely possibility is the most logical reason for things to happen. This is my paraphrasing Sherlock Holmes. I don't remember the exact original phrase. I'm sure you can Google it. So something improbable, something possible, something. I don't know. I don't have very good memory for words. I have extremely good memory for visuals. So basically, using Occam's razor. The other way to say is, if you know what is Occam's razor, it's the logical thinking process where you eliminate all the facts, skim everything down to the most minimum, and evaluate what's the most likely reason. And in this case, the most likely reason is not trying to win the lawsuit that has basically no merit and nobody else is winning. Instead, they're using this to establish a temporary advantage for the shorts so that the shorts can cover, and then they can at least not dying from a runaway share price in NIO. Because right now, NIO is at the verge of running away. Once we go through 8, it will be 10. After 10 comes 20, 20 comes 40, 40 comes 80. Then 100 is immediately around the corner. They understand perfectly what I'm talking about. $100 is not difficult once we cross 10. $10 is the harder part than 100. 100 is child's play. Crossing 10 is harder than 100, but the hardest one was 5. We're done 5 already. 10 is the next, the doubling effect. So once we have done 10, 20 is the next, but 20 is easier than 10. 40 is easier than 20. 80 is easier than 40. 100 is a child's play. Once you get to 80, $100 per share is a child's play. It takes us 3 days, 5 days to get there. I truly believe there is a very high likelihood that GIC is staring, or a related party of GIC is staring at the bottom of an endless pit, black pit for shorting NIO shares, and this is their only way to cover profitably. So you need to act accordingly and do your own research. Always remember, this is not financial advice. However, I believe I'm the most entertaining YouTuber in finance. So at least you get some entertainment out of me, right? Okay. Thank you very much for watching this short video. I just want to address it. That's all. Enjoy the view with me and have a fantastic day. I wouldn't be too worried about it. Like and subscribe.